Hi there. I have received a request from one of my viewers, and the request was, how do I use one of these servos? So today I'm going to show you how to use one of these servos and how to make it turn. They are really designed to work on pulse width modulation, but since we are working with the Arduinos, there's actually a library that comes with the Arduino software that makes it very easy, so we don't have to worry too much about how things work in this unit. But usually what recognizes specifically this model is if you force it around, you can feel there's sort of a limitation. You can only turn it 180 degrees, and then there's sort of a stop. That stop is a mechanical stop. It's meant to only be turned that much. And of course you want to control if you're running at 0 degrees or 180 degrees. This model in particular is often used in RC helicopters and planes, and are used to control flaps and stuff like that. They have 3 wires like this. And luckily on my model, let's see, there's a little sticker on the side that shows what each cable is. So in my case, the black one is ground, of course, but then the red one is signal. That's a bit odd. And the white one is my 5 volts. So I would probably have guessed the red one would be 5 volts, but it's not in this case. You really have to determine for each servo what it is depending on the manufacturer, because they might switch things a bit around. Anyway, I'm going to hook it up to a normal Arduino, and this is just a Arduino Uno. And I'm going to hook my yellow wire. You can see I have 3 wires plugged into this. I have a black, yellow and red. So the black is ground, yellow is signal, and the red is power, of course. It's the hot one. So here we go. Got my servo, and I'm connecting ground. There we go. I'm connecting my yellow wire to analog 0. That's just because we're using the analog value. We could also use digital values, but then we have to use those with the little curly line, because this one needs to receive either a analog signal or a PWM signal, and some of these actually are unable to do that. I'm going to hook it up to 5 volts. That's fine. You can also do 3. Excuse me. But it's actually indicated on this one that it needs 5 volts. I can then plug in the power. I'm just going to wait until we have looked at the software. Next step is this is the code that is going to explain the example. And for this to work, we actually need a library. And this library comes with the Arduino IDE software when you download it. You can see it right here. It says include servo.h, the library called Servo. First thing we do is define a name for this servo. We call it my servo. So for example, if I had 2 servo motors, I would write my servo 2 to identify each motor. Next thing you want to do, you don't have to do this. I just always recommend things that might change in the future. Create something in the beginning so you can easily change it if you have a very long or complicated code. We don't in this case, but I do it anyway. I define which pin my servo is attached to. And then the very first actual command to the Arduino is my servo attached servo pin. So we're actually telling the library our servo is connected to this pin. In our case A0. You could also just write A0 right there and exclude this line if you wanted to. And then we got this loop. Well, in my case, I have a -10. Don't worry about it. But the command is myservo.write, and the reason we use myservo is because that is the name we gave it up here, and that is the name we have attached the pin to. So we know this is the motor we want to talk to. And -10, that's a bit silly because it can't go below 0 anyway. So let's hit save. Then we're going to wait 5,000 milliseconds, that's 5 seconds, and then we're going to write 170. And the reason I have 170 is because this is the degrees, the angle I want my servo to be in. And my servo is a bit faulty. It can't actually go to 0 degrees. Well, of course it can. Then I need to unscrew this bar right here and set it at 0. But I've set it a bit offset because I'm using it for something. So it's at 0. Then we wait 5 seconds. And then we go to 170 degrees. That is actually 180, but as I said, I got a function for this motor usually, so I got this bar a bit offset. Then we wait a very long time, 10 seconds, and start all over. So I have already uploaded this to the Arduino, so let's see how it works. It should start when I power it up. So power. And there we go. Let's give it a second. There we go. That's the 170. The long wait is 10 seconds. There we go. Back to 0. Then it's 5 seconds. 170. And you can see it's perfectly straight right here. That's fine. And when it goes to 0, it's not. There you go. That's my offset. That's the 10 degrees. The reason why I'm using only 170. You should just use 0 and 180. And the way you should calibrate this is make sure it's at 0. There we go. And unplug it. Then unscrew the screw. Turn this thing so it's at 0 degrees. Screw the screw again. And at 0 degrees we should now have something that will go rotate 180 degrees. So it's all about calibration, and that's why it's a bit off in my case. I hope that helped, and if you have any other questions or requests, let me know, and I'll see if I can make a tutorial for you. Thank you. See you next time.